back, everybody. I am here today with Judah VanSyckel, and he is from Saluda Law from South Carolina, Lexington, South Carolina, to be specific. Judah, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really appreciate having the opportunity to chat with you this morning.
Oh, absolutely. I love being able to do a deep dive and just listen to people's stories in your starting journey as a solo practice owner, because a lot of folks who are at least thinking about starting, or maybe they're a couple of years, initial in their journey, it's hard for them to relate to maybe a regional law firm who has 30 attorneys in their practice already. And it's like, how do I make that jump, from where I am today to maybe growing with just my first three attorneys? And so this is great to be able to hear stories like yourself, who are solo practice owners. First off, let me start with this. Let me have you introduce yourself, Judah. Give everybody your 60-second elevator pitch. Your practice area, and what motivated you to choose your practice area.
All right. Well, I am here in Lexington, South Carolina, and my firm does criminal defense work and whistleblower work. We do IRS whistleblower work. We do whistleblower declarations under FIREA and FIAFIA, which is sort of banking fraud, and we do False Claims Act work. And then I practice in the state and federal criminal courts as well. And I have a sort of unique story. I went to law school. I started in 2007 and I graduated in 2010. And I don't know if you know uh, what happened in 2008. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I think
Yes.
everybody does. But the
Yes.
financial crisis sort of rocked everyone's world. And a statistic that came out around the time that I was graduating in 2010 was that there were three JDs for every legal job on the market. And
Wow.
every every job that required a JD, there were three of us on the market. So it was a very scary time. And I took a position as an assistant public defender in York County after about a year of looking for full-time work. I sort of put my head down and did some document review and did whatever I had to do to just get through that period. And it was a good fit for me. I found that I enjoyed the criminal law. I enjoyed going to trial. I felt like I was helping people, and it was a good learning experience and helped me grow from a baby lawyer, who didn't know up from down, to sort of having an idea of how practicing went. And then I had the really neat opportunity to go prosecute at the South Carolina Attorney General's office, and that was such a good experience for me. Really being a part of such a great institution. That agency is the chief prosecutor for the state of South Carolina, and you have statewide jurisdiction. You really get to do some really cool stuff. But I saw some additional opportunities. I was working with a lot of federal agency partners and the Department of Justice on a pretty regular basis. And when I realized, my family was growing and I needed to step forward and move to the next uh, stage of life, I had an opportunity to sort of step out and start my own practice. And honestly, it's really tough when you start your own practice because, especially, coming from government sector to starting your own practice, um, you don't you don't really know what you're doing. You can read all the
Mhm.
books and you can listen to podcasts, and you're dipping your toe in the waters and stepping out in faith. And I had a really nice benefit. I picked up a contract very quickly that allowed me to take appointed cases from the state for a flat rate. It was steady income, and that was what really started me going, and I was really thankful for that. And it helped me grow the business. I helped develop a client base. Um, my It helped where I started getting online reviews from folks where folks really knew, hey, Judah and his firm, they're here in town. Um, But one of the big inflection points for me was when I was talking with an older lawyer, um, who he and I were part of sort of the same um, business group. And he said,
Mhm.
Judah, the best decision I ever made was giving up these appointed cases. And that's terrifying
I
because,
bet.
going from consistent income to really, just relying on customers calling you and knowing that, you're in a very competitive market here in South Carolina for criminal defense. And I was talking with my wife and I said, I'm just getting very busy. I think I've got to take this step. And, it was so helpful. I had that family support. My wife was just like, you know, do what you believe is right for our family. And I was like, I think this is right. And I had to make that decision. Not that I didn't want to continue serving the same clientele, but just in order to, provide for the family and um, have time. I had to have the time to give to the clients that had hired me and to give to my family. I had to sort of step back and say, hey, I can't take these appointed cases anymore. And honestly, it
Mhm.
has been a great thing to step out. Now, I
How long
will say,
did you struggle with that decision, by the way, to let that go?
it was a 6 month period
Mhm.
of really, I woke up one day and all of a sudden the business was just we were doing very, very well. But I was still getting these appointed cases. And so I started feeling the effects of, man, I'm really, really just tired, I'm working a lot. I'm not there for my kids. And I felt like, man, I really need to say, all right, what can I handle? And I think there's a humility in letting things go sometimes. Obviously there's a desire, oh, I want to do more, I want to be better, but sometimes there's a humility in saying, I can't do it all.
Mhm.
I don't have the bandwidth for this. And if we're not honest with ourselves, we'll say, oh, well, I can do it. I'll just make it work. And you sometimes just have to say, I'm only so much.
Sure.
There's only so much of me to go around. And we work hard. I've got two great assistants right now. My clients and um, fellow attorneys all comment on how wonderful they are to work with. And we try to use technology,
Mhm.
very heavily. We aren't paperless because we do get a lot of mail that comes in.
Mhm.
Um, but we save a lot of stuff just digitally. And it has allowed us to save on paper costs and it allows us to be faster. When we have to shut down because of weather events, we can work remotely.
Right.
And during COVID, during the pandemic, when people did get sick with COVID,
Mhm.
um, working remotely was something that we were prepared to handle. I think there's a lot of
Mhm.
value in coming to the office, which is why I like us all being here. And because of my clientele, a lot of them like to pay, they like to just drop in and bring cash. We're always going to be a sort of work from office priority, but we very much want to make it where um, work that can be done remotely, we want to
Mhm.
maximize a lot of that.
So let me just
And
reiterate. I love what you just shared, and it's interesting because you use the word humility, and it's so true. It does take a moment to say, wow, maybe I'm not Superman. I mean, it's good to have that confidence, but at a level to be realistic to say, if I have to really evaluate where my time is best spent. But the
Mhm,
other word that came up for me, Judah, when you were sharing this, your story of having to taking 6 months to grapple with letting go of security. And but to me, the word that came up was wisdom, having that discernment to say, you know what, I have to say no to this current temporary security or perceived security for what I want even more. And you chose the path of entrepreneurship in starting your own practice and starting a solo practice. And so, what you wanted more was that freedom and building a practice that would give you that freedom. And I love that you prioritized your family from the beginning. It wasn't where a lot of folks would be it'd be logical to think, okay, well, I'm just going to, put my head down. I'm going to work crazy hard. I don't mind putting in the, 60, 70 plus hours a week. I'll just do that for whatever it takes, 5 years or 7 years. And I love that you just had your boundaries early on and said, you know what, you're prioritizing your family. And I love that early before we hit record that you're coaching, you're finding time, you're making time in your
That's
schedule
right.
to coach your kids' soccer, your daughter's soccer
So,
team.
so a really cool thing about that is, I really only get so many years with these kids.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to look back and say, like, hey, I really invested in them and um, I gave them what they needed and I gave them goodness. And I want them to be
Mhm.
able to look back and say, my dad was there for me and, he was a good dad. And I want to have a relationship with them when they're 20 and 30 and 40 and I want to get to know them and their kids.
Yeah.
That is like a goal for me. And that's one reason why if I have to leave the office at 5 o'clock on during the week and go coach soccer for a bit, there's nights where I'm still trying to hammer out those hours and I'm pulling up the computer
Mhm.
on the table at the house, and that's one reason why using the digital being digital being in the cloud is so important
Mhm.
because it allowed me to be able to be with my kids and it allowed me to be with my wife. One of the things that I've sort of made a decision. My wife and I, we know that we are not perfect by any means, but we certainly we are Christians, and um, we take Sundays off. And so, except, if it's an emergency, if someone gets arrested on Saturday night, yeah, I'm going to go to court and make sure that there's someone representing their bond hearing on Sunday. But at the same time, we just, we shut it down on Sundays. I don't
Yeah.
typically go in the office, and that's our day of rest. And that's been really healthy for me. I found that I'm more refreshed and ready for the week. And my wife has worked very hard, and I'm just so thankful for her partnership. She and I have we work together. If I've got to work late, maybe we're gonna have dinner at the office. She's gonna bring the kids by, or maybe if I'm working Saturday, she's gonna bring Chick-fil-A, and we're gonna eat outside at the picnic table.
Mhm.
And those are joint decisions that we've got to make. How do we balance family and work? And I'm very thankful. And I would say that,
Mhm.
you know, other business owners, I would just encourage you, work with your spouse. Don't work against them. Don't think that they have to be um, outside of your business. Your spouse can be the best person to talk to about a lot of things. And my wife, she's not a lawyer, but she's got a lot of really great insight about a lot of different things. And oftentimes, I find that she's the first person I talk to about business decisions.
Wise advice, balancing you're balancing your time, but you're also working together with your wife. And this is great advice for other folks to think about involving their spouse. And yes, and I'm actually drinking my "With God All Things Are Possible" mug today.
I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I love that you've been able to honor resting and just getting unplugged and doing that on a regular basis. Now, the place that you're at today in your practice, help our audience understand, if you can share some tips. What were the greatest tactics that has helped you move the needle to growing and establishing a client base? So now you're able to have the confident cash flow where you can, work on scaling your firm to the next level. Can you talk to us a little bit about what's been working for you?
Sure. So, um, the first thing is that I picked an online practice management platform very quickly. I went with Clio. I was also looking at my case. There's several good platforms on the market. 100%. I believe that online practice management platforms replace the work of probably one or two full-time people. I would encourage every lawyer to get one. Yeah, it's expensive, but it's far less expensive than the equivalent payroll that you're going to be paying. And it also makes it easier on me. You know, sometimes all I walk into court with is my cell phone. I don't need file. I've got it all right there in that little pocket computer. I think the second thing that I would encourage people to do is, on the one hand, watch your pennies, but on the other hand, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. There are days where um, I have gotten a letter drafted, but oh, we don't have stamps, we don't have an envelope. I just log into letterstream.com
Mhm.
and upload a PDF and get it mailed out, let them handle the mailing. You know, it might cost me $1.50 instead of the 50 cents for a stamp here, but it's done. And sometimes you just need to move forward. Um, don't be afraid to value your time. You know,
Mhm.
yes, things are expensive if you run um, if you run the numbers. Oh, how much am I going to spend more than if I did my own envelope and postage? But lawyers really need to consider the most profitable thing that we can be doing is doing billable work, or doing client things that drive future clients. And so, don't let, oh, I don't want to pay for a premium subscription to Adobe for $20 a user a month. So I'm gonna print things, sign things, then rescan them. Just,
Mhm.
you know, use technology, because really the time savings and the convenience savings will get you going faster. And then the other thing that I found was, there's a podcast and a web group by Jim Hacking and Tyson Mutrux out of Missouri, and they started a
Mhm.
podcast called Maximum Lawyer, and it has been so incredibly helpful. There's folks on there like Jay Ruane, and other contributors to that group who just really have really good insights on marketing and growing and being more efficient in your practice. You know, every week I think, man, I need to be more like those guys.
Mhm.
So I'm very
So
thankful for.
what are some marketing tactics that you've been implementing that you you're, putting into your practice?
So we work very hard on having a web presence, and I realized very early on that I wanted to make sure that we had I hope a good website. I've had some people say it's a nice website, but also just really working on the SEO with making sure that we are doing well with the Google reviews and things like that. The other thing that I've done is right next to Lexington County are three counties that are part of the same
Mhm.
judicial circuit, and we've opened offices in two of those three counties because we want to make they're underserved counties. That one county has no other criminal defense lawyers, and one county has one other criminal defense lawyer. And I just
Mm.
thought, hey, I need to get an office out there and serve these folks, and I need to be willing
Yes.
to drive out and meet with them. And yeah, I mean, sometimes an hour long drive is for that initial consult is that's a tough drive. But on the other hand, not everyone is as familiar with remote technology, Zoom, and so you got to meet people where they are sometimes. And just building trust in the local communities, I've found is very good.
I
The
love,
thing that
by the
I've
way, when I went on your website, Jada, one of the first things I noticed is the SEO that you mentioned. And there's not that many law firms who have websites where you SEO'd, specific pages for the local towns. So I could see that you put an emphasis on local SEO to get yourself known in the specific town names that people are searching, because yeah, that's what they do. And can I also share something else that I noticed?
Yeah.
Your LinkedIn post, I just thought, wow, in literally under 4 seconds, when I glanced at it and I just read the first couple of lines, it drew me in to read more. And you had a post about serving at a party, at a Christmas party,
Mhm.
and you tied it into about, what if I went to a Christmas party and I showed up thinking, how can I serve these people, or who can I connect them with? And it just instantly, it painted a picture of you as a person and your heart to serve. And it was just literally instantly just, it put you in a very unique, where I felt like, oh, I just got to know a little bit of who this Judah guy is, as a person. And I love that he cares, that you've got a heart to serve. It just came across. And so I just want to say kudos for even one little LinkedIn post, the power it can do when you put your personality into it, your personal values into it, and not just keeping it factual as far as, okay, I'm going to have my legal hat on and let me give you some statistics. Or I mean, statistics serve its purpose too. You can have statistics post, but I just wanted to say kudos for that, because it really it just made you come alive
Well, thank you. I
in four
really
seconds.
appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I remember that post. I was scared about posting that post because I was like, oh man, this I don't want this to be I don't want to come across as someone who's telling other people what to do. I really am so thankful for all of the great LinkedIn posts I see that like educate me. I
Mm,
really value LinkedIn. I see a lot of really smart people with really interesting things to say. And I do try to post and I do try to drive engagement because I do want to be seen as a subject matter expert, but at the same time, it is a way to have conversations with sort of a broader group of people about what we want to see. And um, that post just hit home to me. I'd been to some events recently where I could see some people had been left on the outside, and I know that there was nobody was intentionally doing it. It was
mhm,
just it wasn't necessarily just Christmas parties, just events, and
mm,
I was it had um it was just totally unintentional, and yet I could see there was some hurt, and I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if we did this just a little bit better? And I will say, I am very thankful for the Lexington County Bar Association and the I'm also a member of the Aiken County Bar Association, but the bar here in Lexington is incredibly collegial. And I'm very thankful for that
mhm,
because, even though we do represent people and oftentimes with interests that are, um, adverse to one another, the way we treat each other is just so important. And I have found that, you know, the better relationships I have with all the lawyers in town, the more likely I am to get a call. Hey, Judah, you handle this kind of work.
mhm,
Is this something that you would like to talk to this client about? Yeah, I'd love to. Or send it over to this attorney. And um, you know, skeptical or cynical people might say, oh, well, oh, this is just them scratching each other's backs. Well, no, I mean, like, you really want to be known for excellence. You want to be known for who is the best people to refer people to, who can you trust? And you want to see clients that call you that you can't serve, you want to see them go to the right people. And I refer a lot of clients out. I've found that focusing my practice areas was very helpful for me. And
mhm,
because I'm not trying to do everything, I think I do a better job with the things that I do, and my clients get a better lawyer because of it.
mm. That's awesome. I've really been enjoying this conversation with you, Judah, and getting to know you as a person, your practice, your journey. So, for other viewers, if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Definitely the website, salutalaw.com has all our contact information, phone number, everything like that. Also, our phone number um, is on the is on the is on the website, um, 803-939-6927. But I will say, um, my staff people um, keep me in check. When I'm running from court to court to court, and there are days when I have two or three or four court appearances in a day, they make sure that I'm responding, following up, getting back with folks. They're the best people. They're the best people to reach out to me. I think, Yun, I think that talking with you, it took me even a couple days or weeks to get connected on LinkedIn. And I appreciate your reaching back out. So thank you so much. I really have enjoyed getting to know you, and I appreciate your help with this.
Oh, absolutely. I think these conversations are so important to make our uh, community feel a little smaller, because as a practice owner, I know it can feel very lonely, and you're trying to navigate a million decisions on your own, a million challenges, and just even listening to other people's stories in conversations like this is very encouraging for people to hear that they're not the only ones, tackling the same challenges that you just shared today. So thank you, Judah. Well, that's a wrap, everybody. I appreciate you coming on to listen to Judah VanSyckle's story. And you can check out his website at salutalaw.com. We'll have drop the links in the notes below. And just stay tuned for the next episode. So that's it, everybody. Talk to you soon.